Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Your host, the Raven, here, bringing you some Path of Exile action. This is Merciless Difficulty Chamber of Sins Level 2. I came back because I missed the waypoint. As you can see, it's not activated. And, but since you're here, you might as well loot and get treasure and gain some experience. And I'm actually glad I did so because I could have just got the waypoint and teleported out, but I decided to, play through because I really, there's some stages in Path of Exile that are just really, the fighting is really intense and really fun. And this just happens to be one of them. Especially everyone that has like stages where you go down another level, or you go up another level, they just seem to get really intense and it's really exciting and fun. So anyway, let's get started. We have a very few of the melee, the little lightning skeletons. The main enemies in this particular map are the necromancers, aka sin lords, and the spark skeletons. Like the melee lightning skeletons, they resist lightning. The difference between them is that they shoot each skeleton individually fires a batch of 3 sparks that bounce around the map in a random pattern until they hit something. And when you have a large group, they can fill up a room or fill up the screen you're in like extremely quickly. And while the sparks themselves don't do that much damage, repeated hits, and especially if if the sparks hit for critical, you can wind up dead instantly because you've been hit by 5 sparks in a row that just happened to crit you. So extremely dangerous, never to be taken lightly. Also in this map, we have they're like lightning tortured guys. I forgot their proper name, but basically they resist lightning and they do lightning teleport, which is a physical. They teleport to you. You'll know when it's happening because you'll see a beam of light, which you just see there. A beam of light will appear above you, and if you don't move, they'll land on you. And the dangerous thing about that is that when they land, they can stun you with electricity. You can be shocked. They also do physical damage to you, and multiple. There is no limit to how many they can land on you at once. You can have 50 of them teleport on you at once and kill you if you don't move. So, but each enemy has its own strategy. For the teleporting guys, stay in motion because you do have a split second to act before the teleportation activates. When you see that blue light, move your butt. Um, by themselves, it's kind of really easy to dodge because that telltale, light lets you know when something's about to happen, so you can move. The problem comes in was when you're dealing with other enemies, and while you're casting magic or doing your move, melee move, depending on your character, build type, while you're shooting or fighting other enemies, boom, 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 you get hit with the teleport. And you can see I had to get out of dodge. I didn't take too much damage right there, but it's always better to play it safe because one slip up and you'll be toast. And those lightning sparks, okay, maybe they only take out 100 or 200 out of your energy shield at a time, but that's just per hit. I mean, if there's like 60 or 100 bouncing around a room, I mean, that's 100 hits. And you think that with their pattern, the way they bounce around, they wouldn't hit you, like all of them wouldn't hit, but it just seems like all of them seem to wind up hitting you if you stay put, no matter what pattern they take. So it's just better just to kill as fast as possible. Don't give them a chance to overwhelm you with their ability, and stay mobile. I think being mobile is one of your best defenses in Path of Exile because you can have armor, you can have energy shield, and you can have evasion, that type stuff. But if you're getting hit, and especially if it's a boss character or a rare character, as you see I'm dealing with now, um, high armor isn't invincible armor. High energy shield is an infinite energy shield. You will be cut down, but if you get out of dodge, if you move your butt, if it doesn't hit you, it can't take any damage. And any attack that doesn't hit is 0 damage. Whereas an attack that hits but it goes up against your defense, okay, well, if it only does 1 point of damage, that still can stack up. It's not much. But my point is, 0 damage is better than any damage, no matter how minor. So anyway, this is my first necromancer fight. As you can see, it's very tough because the necromancers can revive enemies extremely quickly, and it's not that they revive, it's the fact that when they do revive, they have full health, and if they have an energy shield, which most enemies on merciless difficulty come with energy shields, you have to deal with this, there's multiple enemies, they're fully health, they're fully stocked with energy. It's like you're basically having to redo the whole battle over and over again, and eventually the enemies will overwhelm your damage output. So like that's the dangerous situation with necromancers. The thing though that they're weak to, the strategy with them, is using ability or power that either, if you're a melee character, there's abilities that like leap and instant teleport that allows you to jump to the necromancer, so you can like beat him up first, but before he has a chance to surround you with dudes you've already killed. Me being a caster, I use the lightning orbs because they travel in a straight line, so I can aim them. I know where I'm aiming them. They hit everything they pass multiple times, and plus they don't stop when they hit another enemy. They pass through, enemy bodies. They pass through the physical bodies of all the enemies. So I find it extremely useful for cutting through hordes. Like here, this map is skeletons, but other maps it could be giant cave bears, giant spiders. It can be iron. It can be rock golems, and if you if you have an army of rock golems coming towards you, it's like you're not gonna beat that defense because they have extremely high defense, and that's just something you're not going to get through. So the lightning orbs, their ability to pass through physical entities really comes in handy for for situations like that. When I first started playing Path of Exile, I liked the fireball ability because one thing about the lightning orbs is eventually they do disperse. They have a limited range. The range is infinite, whereas the fireball, its range is infinite until it hits something, but when it hits something it stops it. So, and then also with the lightning too, they can't pass walls and trees and other obstacles. They only pass through physical enemies but not physical objects, so like pillars and boxes and posts and tombs or whatever the hell, that will block it, so you have to be mindful of that. But when it comes to the enemies, I mean, it just cuts through dudes. It's my laser, so to speak. So yeah, I definitely switched up the lightning orbs from fireball, because when you're dealing with necromancers or any other enemy that surrounded by other enemies that shoot or do something annoying, or they physically block you from attacking the main enemy, you definitely need something that can get around that. And that's what I like about Path of Exile. It's a free-to-play game, but there is no wallet warrior. There's no such thing as a wallet warrior because you can't buy skills and things that you can't buy weapons, armor, and skills that affect your battle. Like you can't buy ultimate spell that just kills everything, and you can't buy ultimate sword that just cuts down everything. Like you can't, I mean, obviously they would have to make money somehow. They do sell things like inventory space, cosmetics for your armor, special effects for spells and moves or weapons. So they do sell things, but it's never like gameplay affecting. Except for I think I heard there's like a tunic or something that I don't know if you can buy it or if it was a special event. I see some people wearing that, but that's not a game changer. It's not. There's nothing sold that just puts one player a class above the other players. And there's nothing. And even if you do have that tunic, I think that the reason it's so good is it has all 6 gem slots. They're all linked and they're multicolored. I mean, they're universal color, so you can put any type of gem you want. But that can be made. There's not. You can make it with just, if you are wise with your, if you save up your orbs, your specialty orbs and your armor things, and you can make yourself powerful. You can work on yourself. The skill tree is amazing. I really enjoy that. Like with Path of Exile, it's up to your skill your knowledge of the game, you have to be comfortable with your style of gameplay. I mean, if you like melee, focus on melee. If you like range, but you don't want to cast magic, there's bows, there's arrows, there's spells that let you throw like ghost knives or ghost swords, and I mean, whatever style you like, there's a way to play it. If you don't like doing any attacks at all, if you just, if you're the type of person you like to have other people do things for you, there's minion summoning. You can summon skeletons, you can summon zombies, you can send out, ghosts or whatever that fly around attacking. So there's plenty of ways to play, but it all depends on your skill and your knowledge of the game and its characters. Enemy knowledge is also, I'll say, that's another thing when I've said that speed and evasion is probably your best defense, like physical movement as evasion, not necessarily an evasion stat, because that depends on your style of gameplay also. Do you want evasion on your character? I use very little evasion on my character, but physical movement, yes, your best defense, because if you're not hit by the power or the ability, it does zero damage. I would say the second best defense is enemy knowledge. Know your enemy types. Know, if you see a guy holding a bow and arrow, okay, he's ranged. So use a spell or an ability that can deal with a ranged enemy. If the guy's holding a sword or a club, that type stuff, 9 times out of 10, he is a melee type enemy. Although with the rare enemies and the rogue exiles or evil exiles, they also have multiple abilities. So, you know, never never be complacent. Don't just say, okay, he's holding a hammer, he can only walk up to me and hit me. He might can teleport, he might can throw spectral hammers, or they might even cast a little bit of magic. So enemy knowledge, know the enemy types. Are they do they have a lot of hit points? Do they have a lot of defense? Are they weak, but is their ability really powerful? Like the Spark skeletons, they don't hold up very well when you're on them, but if they can fill up that room with those little sparks, you're in big trouble. And the same thing with these teleporting enemies that I'm dealing with now. That teleport, like I say, if they're alone, it's easy to dodge. You see the circle of light, you see the beam of light, you move, and then they're at a position, you got the advantage on them. But if you're surrounded by cave bears, and you're fighting for your life against them, all of a sudden that blue beam comes down, you don't have time to react, and boom, you can lose your life. So enemy knowledge, I would say, is your second best defense. Your best offense is knowledge of yourself and your character. What are you comfortable with, right? What's your style of play? Do you like not getting hit at all? Like you try not to never get hit? Are you a person who likes to be the tanky type person? Like, well, I want all these guys are throwing stuff at me and hitting me with clubs and spears and stuff, but they can't touch me because I got so much defense or whatever. If you're a tanky person, build to that effect. I think the worst mistake you can make, which I almost died there because I was a little bit too aggressive, in that room. But luckily I was able to run away and recover. But anyway, I would say the worst thing you can do is to try to do everything. Like, oh well, I want to shoot magic, and I want to do melee, and I want to shoot bows and arrows, and I want to summon skeletons or summon zombies or whatever. That's possible. There's no rule saying that you can't do that. But the problem is, everything has its strengths and weaknesses, and if you're a jack of all trades, if you focus on everything, different things, you're going to be very weak. You're going to be weaker in each category. And plus, you can only do one thing at a time anyway. Like, you can't use a melee move and shoot a spell unless you happen to have a particular spell that activates when you do a move or something like that. There's things like that, but to seriously cast spells or specific spells, you can't do both of those and melee. You can have a totem cast things while you do melee. That's possible, But there's always a give and take, and if you try to take too much, you'll wind up giving too much. So I think that's the biggest mistake you can make playing Path of Exile. So your best defense is physical movement and getting out of dodge. The ability, know when to run, know when things are getting too hectic or whatever. Second defense, knowing what you're up against in the first place, and the best strategy for taking on that enemy, regardless of their level. So anyway, here and at first chest we got 3 rare monsters, and he can teleport as you see. But when he misses, he's out of position, and I bring him down real fast with my flamethrower ability. The spell is called Incinerate, but I call it flamethrower, fuel stream, whatever I feel like calling it at the time. That's what I call it. But the ability is called Incinerate. So yeah, knowledge of enemy types, and then your best offense is knowing your style of gameplay, and work on the tree. Don't be afraid to respect your character. Since I've played, I've probably respected my character. I would even say 10 times. Probably not 10, maybe closer to 8 times, but still, let's say 8 to 10 times since I've played Path of Exile. And if you play seriously, I'm not the most hardcore Path of Exile player. There's guys out there, they eat, sleep, and breathe Path of Exile, and they know character builds and crit abilities and different armors and weapons like inside out, like the back of their hand. Like, it's insane. But still though, whether you're casual, whether you play it casually or play it professionally, or you're really dedicated or you're really into it, don't be afraid to respec. Don't be afraid to say, well, let me try this instead, or maybe this isn't as good as I thought it was. Because that seems like my discovery. A lot of powers, like when you first get them, it's like, oh yeah, I'm kicking so much ass. Yeah, take this, evil enemies, you idiots. And you're happy. But then as things progress, as difficulty mounts, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that you realize, okay, yeah, this certain ability is cool, but it's not really doing much now. So don't be afraid to respec and say, okay, let me let this a set of abilities or this particular power go, and either boast, if you're low on life, get life. If you're low on armor, look for things to give life and armor class. If you're having problems, like it seems like you're always running out of magic or mana, focus on mana regeneration and mana pool. Always pick percent over plus, because plus 10% mana total is way more than plus straight up 10. Plus 10 is just 10 points. So if you have 20 points of mana, plus 10 only give you 30, you'll have 30 points of mana, which isn't much. But if you have 20 points and you get 10%, well, you're thinking, well, you're only going to get 2, but the percent will stack. So if you get 10% more, percent is just better. I'm not saying forgo plus, because straight up has its merits too. So everything has its merits, everything has its demerits. So like being comfortable in your play style, knowing what you want, knowing what you expect. Like if it seems like you don't get killed easily, like you never get killed, but it takes you a long time to beat the enemies, then you might want to, well, how can you up your crit chance or your critical multiplier, things like that. So I mean, just Path of Exile, it's really good. I'm glad I got back into it. They've come out with a lot of content in the past I think it's been like 2 years at least since I started playing. And it seems like every couple of months they come out with really good content. I haven't encountered anything that I haven't liked content-wise that they've come out with. It's just, I still have my frustrating moments when I die. I really have the bad habit of not knowing when to let it go. Like if a boss or something kills me, I say, well, I'm gonna go challenge him again. Maybe I can beat him, this time. And no, I wind up getting killed. And sometimes I'm able to walk away. Other times it's like, your pride kicks in and you're just like, damn it, and you wind up losing a bunch of stuff, and you still wind up not beating them. Because some bosses is like, they're really extreme. Don't be afraid to run away, because the boss abilities are insane. Like it'll blow your mind like what the boss can do to you, or different rare monsters, especially in the Vol corrupted areas, or special maps. I mean, you can be one-shotted. There's enemies that they don't even do anything to you. You kill yourself killing them because they reflect elemental damage, or they reflect physical damage, or they reflect everything that's not. They reflect things that aren't. Well, no. What I'm thinking of is some of them have this thing called corrupted blood, and corrupted blood, whatever you do to them happens to you. And so especially with damage over time effects, like you'll hit the guy with like one move or power, and all of a sudden you'll see your energy shield. If you have energy shield, there's no law saying you have to play with energy shield. You'll see your energy shield sucking down, and then all of a sudden your health will start going down as well, because the enemy you hit once is still under the effect of a damage over time, and you're being damaged over time because of it. I mean, it gets insane. So anyway, this is the best chest I've encountered so far since I played the game. It's protected by powerful enemies. You can see I have to retreat often, but it's better to retreat and be able to come back and push forward a little bit than it is to just get slaughtered. So never be afraid to run, never be afraid to backtrack, because the enemies, they're not going anywhere. You can always run, patch yourself up, boost yourself up with auras, or different defense or whatever, and then and it's easier to pick off the scragglers, like, because when they're in a thick pack or a thick group, I mean, you'll get killed real fast. But as the enemies tend to spread out as they chase you, and you can run away and then turn on like the first two or three or four, that were leading the chase against you, because there's it's easier to take on 4 than it is to take on 10. So running away, don't be afraid to do it. But once again, if that's not your play style, do what's best for you. Do what you're comfortable with, because that way you'll have the most fun and you'll be the most successful. And that's what I recommend to anybody who plays Path of Exile, or they're curious about playing it. And that's my main thing. Just do what makes you happy. You know, and what makes you comfortable, and be prepared for the consequence. If your play style gets you killed a lot, well, that's gonna occur. So don't be throwing the keyboard because you died. I mean, that's your style or whatever. If you're struggling with making your build work, ask friends, ask community, ask people. You can call me. I'm your host, the Raven. I'll be happy to answer questions. If you're watching this video, and you have a question, put it in the comment section, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. But anyway, we're heading to the end of the video, so I thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Play Path of Exile. Try it out. It's an awesome game. I highly recommend it. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.